We are back. Welcome to the Patriot Hour. Please like, share, subscribe.
Ring the bell.
Ring that bell. Toggle the bell to alert you in the manner that you want to be alerted.
I love the way you just said that. In the manner in which you like.
Because there's a lot. I was messing with it on somebody else's device. You hit it once, it's like alert and like buzz your device. You could hit it again and it'll be like just to notify you. But do the one that shakes your device, buzzes it, and just makes it go haywire.
Drives you crazy. Yeah. Them guys need to stop. So, quick garage talk. This one's going to be close to heart, close to sleeve, or however you want to say that. I don't have any notes. This one was just, I was asked to mention it and talk about it a little bit, so I suppose we will. CPS, the governmental involvement with our children and how we raise our children. Kind of like this topic can go just about any direction, so I think we're just going to wing it and see what happens. Look forward to seeing some of the comments afterwards, any advice or opinions or maybe some personal experiences or whatnot. I know I have one. I went through a divorce and had similar things happen. People coming into my house saying they're here to look how my children live, how they sleep, do they have their own rooms, etc., etc. So I kind of want to start way back when I was a child, middle-class family, middle Americana. We were kind of like the Brady Bunch, man. We had a 3-bedroom house. 3 brothers shared one room. I was top bunk on the 2nd story with a house with no air conditioning. Now I own a heating and cooling company. Imagine that.
That's why you went hard.
Yeah. So
AC for everybody.
I'm tired. Nobody's going to be hot.
So, of course, back then when I was a kid, I thought being spanked on the butt or mom smacking my mouth, maybe drawing a little bit of blood, I deserved it. But back then, as a kid, you don't think you deserve it or you know better, especially when you get into the adolescent ages of 11, 12, 13, all the way to 32. So back then, of course, as a child, we all thought, oh, my dad or whoever's punishing me is going overboard or blah, blah, blah. My dad always had a saying, if you call the cops because I whooped you, you better call an ambulance too because one of us is going to need one.
Oh, yeah.
So I think people can kind of understand where we're going with this. A near dear friend of the show has experienced some heartaches. He's a great man, raising his kids the best way he sees fit. I know the man personally. I spent lots of time with him and his children, and I witnessed the spanking. Somebody didn't like the said spanking, and of course the child had a couple of marks on the rear end. Not any kind of marks that I've never had, or maybe you've had.
This is odd. I know Nate too. Great man, great father. But I not to turn it to me, but we were talking about experiences. I myself was in foster care for several years as a kid. Me and my oldest sister, we got taken from my mom because she'd left us for 3 days. I think I was 5. So on day 3, people call, they show up, we get taken. But man, when I was in the foster care, I used to get beat with belts and spanked.
Weird.
So weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, which is. Oh,
But anyway, I don't know the circumstances, all of it. We are we're discussing this kind of live on the show.
Fly.
So on the
fly here. I'm not going to get into details and too many names and whatnot, but I can tell you what I've seen and what I know, and I can tell you what I've experienced and also what I know, and then I can tell you what I believe. And I'm going to start with what I believe, and I'm curious what other people out there. I got to imagine most of us think this way, and for some reason we allowed it to
get out of hand
to where, in what effing world do we want our government coming into our homes telling us how to raise our kids? You can't do this, you can't do that, children have rights. Let's be real conservative here and just take a guess and say, I bet 70% of the population, I would hope more, but at least 70% say, stay the hell out of my business. Now, I'm not saying turn a blind eye to actual assault.
No.
I do know that stuff goes on. But I told a CPS agent, or I guess we'll call him an agent, and he agreed with me. I said, do you know why the only reason you're here? And he says, why is that? And I said, because I work and I have money in my bank account. If you truly cared, and the court systems truly cared about children, all children, you would be at the Section 8 apartment complexes, poverty level trailer courts. And I'm not putting anybody out here, but if you truly cared about the children, the last place you would be this morning would be in my living room. It's clean. It's decent. I have a wife that stays on top of things. I work my tail off. There's food in the refrigerator.
Bed to sleep on.
Right. I'm sorry that I spanked my kid, but I'm not going to apologize for that. I would never stand in front of a judge and let any prosecutor convince me what I'm doing is wrong. If it's my duty, our duty as parents, to make sure we discipline our kids. It's not the government's. It's the government's responsibility to punish adults. So if you look at it like that, if I don't punish them now and teach them right for wrong, you may not like the way I'm doing it, but if it turns out that they learned right from wrong, then you don't have to put them in jail and punish them later. But you want to give a 14-year-old, a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old rights. You have rights to leave my home at 18 years old and get your own place. But while you're under my roof, it is my rules. It's the old That 70s show, Red, I'm going to put a foot in your ass. Well, what happened, folks? Where did we go wrong where we've allowed this to happen? And I guess this is what I was going back to. 70, 80, 90% of us probably don't want that kind of crap in our lives. We don't want judges and CPS because once that door opens and that phone call was made, now the person that made that phone call is quickly regretting it because now said person is responsible for said child for 7 days.
7 days a week.
All the time. And she don't want it.
No.
And I'm not going to call her out. But this is what happens. When I went through it, I said the same thing. I said, you got to be real careful about letting the governmental officials in your life because they don't quickly go away as fast as they got into it.
Oh, no.
It took one phone call to get them there. It's going to take 15 to 18 months to have a chance of freedom again.
And even if now said woman says, oh, I don't want to, it's a mistake. I don't want to, no charges, no nothing. You don't have any say anymore. Now it's like, sorry, that person is the person that goes, okay, he can have the kid back.
It's a state matter.
Yeah, period.
And in this
you just screwed up majorly.
Story, there's other kids involved, and it's like they only came in and took the one.
Beautiful.
Which makes no sense. You're going to take the one but leave the other two?
If parent is...
Not saying that they should took them all.
No,
I'm not saying that.
But it doesn't make any sense if you're state matter. Like, you're an idiot.
But if they're... Yeah.
How weird is that where they say, well, you have a violent tendency right now, we're going to protect that one kid.
Yeah. But you're okay.
Screw the other two because...
Temporarily, we should take them all until we kind of figure out what's going on. But no, it's like, it's kind of weird.
They leave the other two kids.
He's, how the phone call, this kid, she tells a story, and they come headhunting in just for that one kid. They see that there's others there. What if it was based on the one call for the one kid? What if there was multiple mothers and the one mom called for the one kid but not on the others? They come in like, this is unsuitable. Yeah, we're going to take the one kid.
Yeah.
What about the others that are sitting there?
Well, they didn't call. They didn't care.
Yeah.
So about your
you're fine,
We really can't. We can't open a case against that kid because we don't know about said kid. It's almost like
But you're witnessing with your own eyes
legally
and your
speaking,
ears.
I need somebody to complain about that before I can do my job. If you really cared about the kids, you'd be doing those types of jobs, right? You'd be going to the poor communities. You'd be feeding them. You'd be making sure their parents aren't laying on the floor with needles in their arms. Out running the streets, leaving the kids at home. I didn't want to get into your stuff. You brought that up voluntarily.
Yeah.
You got a parent leaving you home for 3 days. That goes on all the time, all over, and you're walking into a hardworking man trying to raise his kids so they don't end up in the system.
Yeah.
Right? They're learning right from wrong. They're learning work ethics. I just went to the 4-H fair. I see these kids all the time.
Yeah, they're raising
kids.
animals.
Right.
They're learning all these valuable life experiences to make them better
chores every
leaders
in
the future.
And within 20 minutes of the kid being spanked, and I love this young man. He's a great kid. He is all boy, just like my son is all boy, and he drives me crazy, and I put my hand on his ass. Yes, I'm admitting it. So go ahead and call the CPS, but that's my wife and I's kid, so you ain't coming in. We're not calling. We're going to raise them the way we see fit. But within 20 minutes... The young man was running around. Not young man, little boy was running around the yard. Blah blah blah.
But what in that 20 minutes time when he got spanked and hurt and his pride got hurt and did he call his mom or something?
No, that didn't happen until the next day when she picked him and she didn't say anything and that's all third person.
But
so
we're talking. So basically, after all that, he goes to visit mom.
Yeah, and
that's when I got spanked. By the way, what, when, or how? However that goes down.
Right.
So it was a third story.
Right.
So now the young man is missing his dad. dad is missing a young man, the court systems, they have things in place to make sure there's a process you got to go through. The kid is confused. Dad is not confused. He understands what the hell just happened. But the little boy, we all care about the kid, right? That's what the court system says. Every time I walk into that court system and I hear lawyers and judges and prosecutors, it's all about the kids. No, it ain't.
It's not about the money.
It's about the money. Because if you cared about the kids, you'd be doing something elsewhere. You wouldn't be interfering. I understand that if you get a phone call, you must investigate. But you don't take the kid away
on the basis of what
because you've disciplined them.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So what do they come in? They didn't find any of these conditions. Like I've been in Nate's place. It's not like
it's a clean environment, nice environment.
It's just based on you spanked them.
And
that makes you scared to spank your kids. I mean, I've been threatened by my kids. Like
had some marks on
I'm
the
gonna
butt.
call the cops. Like whatever, But wow, you can really do that.
You better
and
rethink
this is what
that
happens.
the time the cops come. So
well, then they interviewed his wife, his new wife. God bless her. She's great. She's just awesome. Ex-military, solid woman. They interview her, and it's my understanding right from her.
I've met her a
from
time
him,
or two.
That they're asking her questions, trying to get her caught up in, well, how many times did he spank? What did he spank her with?
What's the weekly regimen?
Maybe the buckle was used instead of the leather. How many times? And at some point, I told her, I said,
did he accidentally backhand them and uppercut
did
him?
You see him do,
I mean, they're just bringing.
Did he do the Hogan leg drop? Jeez. Did he superfly Jimmy Snuka in? Yeah, I mean, they were asking so many questions, and that's at the point where I told them both. Now's the time to lawyer up.
Yeah.
Because if you say too much, you never know. And unfortunately, and here is why I brought it up. I know them personally. Take my word for it, but they're prototypical American family, unlike or like the rest of us. How many of you have experienced this, or am I overstepping my boundaries by having this conversation, or are a lot of people out there going, "Yes, how did we let the government get involved?" I mean, Hillary Clinton said it once. We'd be better off letting the state raise the children.
Generation of PC.
Well, and then again, if this is on a different little touch base, I guess we can bring in, but this is separation.
Yeah.
These people are screaming about down at the border. So if there's people out there now saying this is justified and he shouldn't have touched the kids, who would think that if, this is a typical discipline I'm hearing.
Right.
Just a disciplinary.
I watched it.
Yes. So, but now our good friend Nate is separated.
Yeah, they took his kid away
from his child.
They're complaining.
One of three. The other two are safely in his lap.
There you go.
And it's so confusing. How can this be?
So are people outraged? Now people might be like, well, we need to get to the facts and hear more. Okay,
no, you don't.
We're telling you on this one. But, hey, this has happened at the border as well. And
they have rights.
Yeah,
can't separate us.
Yes,
there wasn't a blue, black, or purple mark on his face, arms, back, legs. It was on where the good Lord intended you to be spanked. It was on the ass.
We all got beat as growing up as kids by our parents by doing something stupid. I got the crap
so did
spanked out of
nobody came and took the kid then? It's all naturally went down the next day. The mom came, pulled up, got in the car, and that's when the kid told. And then what did CPS come by for, just to confirm, to tell him?
He went to get his 3 kids from his ex. And he was only allowed to get 2 of them.
Okay, that's how it went down.
CPS had already been there. And they're like, well, you can take these 2, but not that one. And he was pretty much blindsided.
Gotcha. Okay, so it didn't happen as rough as I'm thinking, as far as I'm showing up.
This is a cut, dry, stay out of my business. Now, granted, I'm one of these guys. If I see on a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12-year-old kid, I see a black eye, you went way too far.
Yeah,
There's a difference between...
I see a bloody lip because you called your mom a bitch and she backhanded you. Pardon the language, but...
I've seen it. Yeah.
It's happened to me.
Yeah.
My mom knocked me, backhanded me out of the chair at the dinner table.
Yeah.
Where have we gone wrong? Where do we stand on our thinking?
We've
Are
had
there more
this
of us out here
show before.
How can we?
I remember Nate sitting right here talking about it's the parents. We're talking about these kids.
We've done it to ourselves. He's
trying to not let his kid be what we were talking about that day.
Right.
He's
a victim. We don't want our children being victims of the state.
Yeah.
We're trying to tell the state stay out of our business. And I got to imagine that there's more of us out there. How do we go about changing this? You talk to your local representatives. You make sure you're electing the people with conservative values, that they don't want the state. The state's too big. The government's too big. We did not start this country. The country is not supposed to be governmentally ran.
Yeah.
The people run the country, and the government's job is to maintain order and infrastructure, not raise my kids. I understand when there's a phone call, you must investigate, but
Now here is the difference as
Show
well.
up and it's not a rundown.
Even the people
building
down at the
where-
border, they don't like what's going on with separations, or so they're calling for ban ICE.
Yeah.
I'm not calling for ban CPS.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us are,
No.
because we probably do agree that there are situations where
God, yes.
Oh, there's
So-
God, yes.
yeah, there's a difference between discipline and a
this
beating.
yeah.
What
So
was
I don't know if they talked to this kid and they took the kids. How old is his son? I know I met them all.
6.
Okay, so there's a
5,
6. Okay.
So it's like the one Facebook I seen of the cop show, and I can't remember which one it was. The kid called because his mom was punishing him because he wouldn't mow the yard or something. The 2 cops showed up. And, did you assault your kid? Oh, I spanked him. Yeah, he's and he grabs the little boy and he goes, boy?
I have
And
to
he
come
spun
back
it all
here.
back around, and he's like, if I was your parent, I would have spanked you harder, and you need to respect your mom. She's a single mom giving you a roof over your head, and the kid's like, I thought I had rights.
Yeah. This
And the mom's like,
turn out
I'm
the way I
not
thought
going
it
to
was gonna
jail.
be.
And
So I remember on that note, my mom, her brother was a detective years later, but he was a cop. And I don't know where we were. I must have been 5 or 6, but we were downtown, South Bend or something. And we were in somewhere, and I don't know if my mom went there on purpose because her brother was there, he's a cop. And we went in there, and I don't know if they had video games, but I was over in the video game, and she went, come on, we got to go. And I was like, no, and I was just talking back to her,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't leave. He came, grabbed me,
snatched you
picked
up.
me up, put me over his shoulder, and walked me out. And as he walked me out, pap, pap. So here's a cop,
In
her
uniform?
brother, I think he was in uniform.
today
and
he would
everything.
lose his job and go
Oh,
to jail,
yeah.
and you could sue the
100%.
Yeah, I remember not really ever liking her brother. I just didn't know him enough,
Right.
and he intimidated me a lot when I was a small kid.
probably, yeah,
Just,
because you didn't know.
Well, that-
and I remember one time going over there, and the adults left, and we got left with my uncle's daughter. She was in the Marines and everything, a lot of military in my family, but she went up. And that wasn't even her dad, so it was her uncle. So it was my uncle, it was my cousin's uncle, but she got and played with his gun. Like,
Oh,
got into
boy.
his desk
Oh, man.
and found it. He's like, look, and was pointing it, just doing
Yeah.
a couple of points, and put it
I'll
back.
whoop you bad.
She did. When he
Yeah.
came back, I remember witnessing that. Like, me.
My wife is Catholic, born and raised diehard Catholic, and I didn't know this, but there's a community, small town just like where I grew up, just right down the road from us is a town that had a small elementary school ran by Catholic
Well, I
women.
went to St. Mary's.
So not too long ago, my wife
Assumption
has
or
told me, still get my hand smacked by rulers.
Yep.
The same time where the public schools quit spanking kids.
I was just gonna say, you remember when they had those paddles back
They
in the
can't
day?
do it anymore.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
North Liberty had the paddle, man.
Yeah.
I remember the 5th grade math
Right.
teacher,
That's-
Mr.
I had the 5th grade math teacher, Mr.
Mr. Davis had a hell
David.
of
That
a
was him.
swing,
That dude was a
man.
big
That
burly
guy-
dude, Mr. Davis.
Yeah. Ooh, bring you 4 inches up off the ground. What happened? What happened?
They used to do that on Fridays. Like, they'd save all the
Well, yeah,
spankings, and
yeah.
everyone got to come in and witness it.
Yeah.
Like it was a public
From 10 to
execution.
noon. 10 to- yeah.
Learn from this.
It was
you
called
know?
shame.
Yeah.
My dad, God bless his soul, he used to say the problem in society, and I didn't hear it. Now I hear it. Problem in society is shame is gone. You used to be shamed into working. You didn't want to be embarrassed. Oh, I don't have a job.
Humiliation.
Back then, in the 70s, 80s, 50s, all the way up to the mid-90s, I was detasseling corn and stuff, and if I didn't have a job, I felt embarrassed.
Yeah.
And if you were a grown man, you didn't dare walk around that community going, I'm on government welfare. No, because you were embarrassed and in shame. And for some reason, we've gotten to the point where
Now that's a job.
being shamed is
Fighting
kind of,
for your
kind of
benefit.
illegal. Leave that guy alone. Leave that girl alone. They're allowed to,
They have-
dress up in clown stuff and
They
black
have
masks. and
feelings.
walk-
Words hurt.
Yeah.
It's like Nate just actually sent me a text, and it's beautiful. And I guess this sums up my whole conservative values all in one. But this man was not elected to tiptoe around your feelings. He was elected to get the job done, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm as a parent, and as a citizen, as just an American. Where I don't need you doing my job for me. Don't handcuff me. Give
Yeah.
me my rights back. Matter of fact, I'm going to treat it as if I still have my rights, and I will stand in front of any judge if my ex-wife were to take me to court and say, "I beat my kids," I'd tell the honor, yes, I smacked his mouth, or I held him down and I whooped his ass. And if there's something wrong with that, go ahead and throw me in jail. I'll take my comeuppance, but you're going to have to get elected again, sir.
Yeah.
You're going to have to answer to this. Do not ask me to go easy on my kids, because when they become 18, I'm going to stand in front of you and say, "Please, Your Honor, go easy on that adult."
Yeah.
Because you were
Yeah.
weak.
You were
When
weak
when
on
I
them.
wanted to be strong, you were weak, and now you want to be strong, and I'm asking you to be weak.
Yeah, you kind of stepped in when I was trying to do what you're doing,
Now.
up here as a
Right.
judge.
Right? How dare you have the right to judge?
Maybe that's the agenda, to weaken the parenting, so we get a lot more criminals, so they can keep shoving them into the hotels that they.
It's the separation.
Their hotels.
It's the dividing of our people. It's pitting us against each other so that the government has more control. If the
Dependency.
people,
Well, that's what they said they did with in the 50s. They looked around like, man, we come to a stall of taxation. Like we had all the men working, women stayed at home. What can we do to? Well, if we get the women to work, that's half the population we're not getting. So they
Right.
Yeah, so
they
we get
pitched.
more
They
tax
put
revenue.
money into it, literally like the Soroses of the time.
Yeah.
Dumped money into creating the the Fonda
Separation
movement,
home, take
Hannah
your
James,
bras off.
Hannah James,
Take
or,
your bras off. And we're not bashing women, but you can kind of see where
but
the
that's
ideals.
what was the idea was. That's the pitch, and
It was
then-
a moral slide, and now we're at the bottom going, man, how do we get back? At least I'm not saying go all the way back to the 40s where
Yeah.
women
No,
didn't
there's-
have rights. And
There's
you-
people trying to figure out how to get it even lower.
right.
But that's when families
God,
worked
yes.
it out. I mean,
It's 27 different types of genders now.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we find
But
ourselves.
we
We're at
do
the bottom
see
of this pit.
in the 50s that, families might not have got along great, but they worked it out. They tried. They
Yeah.
did things like
In-house.
church or whatever they could. Yeah. And they stuck together. And we're here today. It's they promote, the single woman, the man. You don't need to, it's gotten to a point.
Or you've lost a...
Paul Harvey.
Yeah.
If I was the devil.
If
That's
I
a-
was the
Google it, folks. If
That
I
is a
was the
great
devil,
video.
I would. And he did this back in 68, 74, somewhere between there. And the whole gist of that one was, if I was the devil, I would keep on doing what I'm doing. Promote promiscuity. Allow this, more drugs on the street. Government separating the families and blah blah blah. And if you listen to this video, you'll be like, oh my.
That's
God.
today.
Yeah.
If I were the devil,
Yeah.
I would just keep on doing what I'm doing. Shame people for being godly and Christian. Shame them. So comment, please. I'll read through them. I want to think that the majority of us think the way that maybe all three of us are kind of taught. We don't have to be lined up perfectly with our opinions and our ideals, but don't we want our rights to raise our kids the way we feel fit? And I'm not stepping on the toes of what actual child abuse is. If that's occurring, then you do something about it. But bruises or marks on a lip from being backhanded, or bruises or marks on an ass from a belt or a hand, not my realm
No,
of
that's
child
not even-
abuse.
Like I said, I grew up with a Marine Corps drill sergeant for
Yeah.
a father.
Yeah.
I still have scars on my butt from him. He'd make me go out and get a willow branch and whip the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Not big enough. Get me in.
Yeah.
bigger
Go
way.
pick your
It was-
switch out.
and granted, now that, again, like you had brought up, I grew up and kind of realized, maybe I was an ass.
You probably needed more.
Oh, obviously I was a jerk. But, yeah, he beat the living crap out of me. And I didn't
You're
really call
alive.
CP. Yeah.
Right.
I'm not
Yeah.
not in jail. I'm not a murderer. I'm not, I'm
I think this is where the people came up with the word snowflakes and,
yeah. Taters.
that everybody wants to win. Everybody needs a participation trophy. Everybody needs to feel like their opinion counts. Everybody, Facebook. We have gotten in this realm of it's about me, the me movement, and you shouldn't raise your kids that way. You should raise them the way I'm raising mine. And I'm thinking, no, because my kids are going to be the ones defending your kids, because quite frankly, you're raising them. Nothing against vegans. I'm just using
Example.
adjectives and adverbs here of, my kids don't eat meat because I don't believe in it. Okay, so push your shit onto your kids. I understand that.
And everybody
and my
else.
kids don't go to church and they don't read the Bible because God ain't real. Well, cool, you eliminated another thought process or a belief that they could possibly have on their own.
An original
my
thought.
kids get to do whatever they want.
The old
They can
Nico.
dye their hair purple and wear
I
a
saw
dress
that
because they're-
perfectly with my neighbor Nico and Jace.
Yeah.
she went that way, read a book, watched a
Nikas
video.
of the world.
And I was like, man, before long, it's going to be you and the kid. No. And within a week, it was like, no, we're doing veggie burgers. I'm like, let me get that grill that you just bought. You don't need
you're
it.
never going to need it again.
So I'm not.
got steaks to
you
grill.
do have the right to raise your kids the way you want, but just because you are totally on the other side of the spectrum and you don't agree with me, that's fine.
You don't see me coming and pushing my agenda or the way I want to.
Because
raise my
if
kids.
I did, I would grab your kids. I'd come into your yard, grab them, bring them over to my house, and we used to play a game. And the word's offensive now, but we're not offensive here at Patriot Hour. We used to play a game called Smear the Queer.
Yep.
Right? And the word queer didn't mean gay. It was just, you were the queer with the ball.
Yeah.
We're going to kill you. There's 15
We
of
might
us
not
to throw
have
the
really
ball.
knew the
Back then, you didn't even know what the hell that
oomph
meant.
of that word was. I mean,
Like
It
the
just
word,
meant you had a ball
But that
and you're
was
gonna
right.
get,
That's
you're
what
gonna
we
get
called it.
smashed and it's gonna hurt.
but everybody's offended anymore. And
smear the guy with the ball doesn't rhyme.
You need a lot bigger box.
Who's the comedian that said offended? Andrew Dice Clay.
Doesn't cost you nothing.
Doesn't cut. It's you wake up this morning and you're offended. You got leprosy. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Being offended is just that. Your
You're
feelings
offended.
are hurt.
It doesn't cost you anything.
That doesn't mean go riot in the streets and oh my God, I'm offended. It's not the flu.
We don't
You
want to
know.
make laws based off your offense.
Yeah.
Because man, that never stops.
Oh my God, my feelings were hurt. Well, hey,
Words.
princess.
Words.
I got a
Words
little
hurt.
video queued up here. I don't know if it's the right thing, but let's listen to it for a minute. It's got a few things on this whole state and kids thing. I
Okay.
think I got
Go
the
ahead.
right one. Let's
As much in public education as we should have, because we've always had kind of a private notion of children. Your kid is yours and totally your responsibility. We haven't had a very collective notion of these are our children. So part of it is we have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities. Once it's everybody's responsibility and not just the households, then we start making better investments.
Hillary said the same thing here during her.
I just threw up. a
It
little
takes all of us.
Running a second time with Bill Clinton. It takes all of us.
Is that what she said, that it would be better off having the government raise the children?
right here.
Yes, it takes a village.
Jeez. God, that's when
But
she
what I
was
will show
semi-pretty.
you is the results from this National Center for Education Statistics document that assessed the percentage of children who...
I forgot that it won't come up too well. We probably wouldn't even been able to. Wait, did I do a browser? Okay, so no, that would have came up good. We would have heard the first two, so
Good.
we're good on that.
So I'm dying to see all the feedback. I really want to know. Maybe we can make some kind of a pie chart or something. But I want to see the percentage of our listeners and
That actually agree upon it.
are we wrong here? Do you like the governmental interference?
You can't say whether you're wrong or right.
Yeah. So anyway, it was near and dear. It was. It sucks. It sucks real bad, and I'm praying hard for him. I guess the cat was let out of the bag. I wasn't willing to do it, but he did say it's okay. Nate is. We're thinking about you, Nate, and I hope that all of our listeners are. We're not Facebooking here. We don't tell me you're going to pray if you're not going to pray. Just maybe take 10, 15 seconds and think about your kids, and maybe apply that to a small prayer or a small thought, reaching out to Nate. And,
Yeah, however you do it, folks. If it
Yeah.
is a prayer, send a prayer. If it's a moment of silence,
Yeah.
whatever you do, just
the government's too damn big and outreaching, and it's just we need to know. I need to understand. I need to know what everybody's thinking. So maybe we can do a movement of some type. I don't know, but I've been through it. And now he's going through it, and it just breaks my heart.
Watching him is killing everybody.
I'm not gonna be able to talk
watching
much longer anyway.
we're gonna get Nate back on here whenever he's been. He's got an open invitation to the Patriot Hour. He knows that. Scott knows it. We'll get him back on when the time is right. We did invite him. He's busy. He's got life. We all got life, but we'll do something special here. We are nearing the 30,000 subscriber mark. Not that that means really anything to us. We never set out for that. We just wanted to touch people. We wanted people to hear. It's been a great
It's a
7
blast.
months has been huge. So it's been with the help of Scott, Ben, Nate, everybody that, Ben, even Shane,
This platform,
Dustin,
this
Adam.
this platform has really showed me. I mean, there's only 30,000 subscribers, but some of your comments are great, and it's nice to know that we're not alone. I knew we weren't, but we got to start fighting back. And I'm not saying Antifa style. I'm saying we're smarter than them.
Yeah.
We are. We are intelligent. We can vote. We can have open-minded conversations. I can be wrong. I can debate.
Right.
Just because Mike might prove me wrong doesn't mean I'm going to come stand in front of his house with a,
your opinion's not
get the
my
F
opinion.
out of here, you racist KKK, or you're deplorable. We're smarter than that, folks. So don't. I promised you all a couple months ago, I'm not going to get sucked into the big debates where I get angry.
No more.
But this is one I can be passionate about, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get the control of our families and our households back where it belongs, and that is in our hands.
And this is what we're talking about. Fight, fight, fight. Be heard. That's all we're saying. Be heard. Start with your local legislations. Pay attention. That's where it really starts and matters, doesn't it?
Get out there and vote. I mean,
Yeah.
figure it out.
These
Get the
midterms are
people-
huge, folks. These midterms.
12% of the population will vote for the midterms. 12% of the people are going to vote for Congress and senators.
That's
That
how
drives me absolutely bonkers.
That's how
So
you don't
if-
get people
A
in.
low
That's how you
minimum.
don't get the people in there that actually need to be in there.
Yep. And these are the topics at hand. I mean, you need to think about that. Don't be blinded. And I know our viewers aren't blinded, but we got to get our word out that don't be blinded by the Russian collusion. And even Hillary, I hate that. I hate her. She should be in jail. But these are the topics. The CPS, our children. These are topics. The
That hit
public
home to
school
everybody.
systems. These are topics that are near and dear to every one of us in our little community. There ain't much we can do on a global basis.
Yeah.
But if we can start attacking the little things and get back, let's say not all the way to the 50s, but maybe meet back in the middle and say, you know what, this is where we belong. But this
Take back some of your
27 genders and people just, it blows my mind. I just seen a 7-year-old kid the other day dressed as a girl with purple hair, and his mother said, I just let him, do what, are you kidding me? Now you've set that kid up for, you're going to allow him to do whatever he wants all the way through his teens. Good luck to you.
And now
Good luck.
Now he's probably thinking everything should be given to him.
And this, like I said, it opens up a whole can of worms. Pull your pants up. I don't need to see your underwear. That should be a fine. I mean, this is just Pandora's box. If you allow your kids to be lazy slobs and pathetic and we don't have rights to punish them,
snowball effect.
what kind of adults are you going to get out of them? So,
Yeah, the ones that are in front of judges sometimes that not really knowing boundaries or the laws or how they're
I wasn't raised
hurting
to
other
know.
folks.
Yeah, I wasn't raised to know that.
Now the judge is there wanting to slam the hammer on him and act like
the
he
parent-
knows nothing.
Yeah, the parents that had to sue their 36-year-old kid to,
to get out of their
house.
house.
Yeah.
The basement.
Hey, Dad,
this guy had-
why didn't you just kick him out of the damn house?
He thought he literally had rights.
Well,
like,
no, and the judge said you got 6 months to get out. You gave him 6 months. I'm telling you right now, Junior, your ass is. I'm grabbing you by the ear and the belt loop, and I'm
it's
throwing.
like, I want you out of here. You heard what the judge said, Dad.
Yeah, I got 6 months. And
You can't
yes,
do anything for 6 months.
He
You
has.
can't do anything. Here's the letter again. Read it and weep.
And that judge said, "Shame."
Where's my
on-"
dinner?
He says, "Unfortunately, shame on the parents for allowing this kid to be like that." And I'm thinking, now wait a minute. That's kind of like you just flipped that around. You took their rights away. You just said he's got 6 more months. You should have said, "Dad, kick him in his butt.
Get out
throw
now.
him on the curb."
You got about 6 hours
Yeah.
to get out of the house.
Yeah. So
You have whatever you
anyway,
can grab in your hands and get out.
say some prayers, think happy thoughts.
Nate, we're here with you. We're thinking about you, and we know it's gonna be all right here
Oh,
soon.
God, yeah.
We
Yeah.
know that for a
Love you,
fact.
big
The
guy.
facts will come out.
With that,
Keep
ring
your
the
head up,
bell,
buddy.
subscribe, love us, not compliment, comment.
Yeah.
We want to hear the
Check
comments.
the comment section. It's great,
He likes
great
compliments
collective
too, don't let
tool.
him lie.
Yeah, compliments, likes, shares.
Yep.
Share with your social media sites. We really need it.
Get this topic out there.
Get it
Yeah,
out there. This is there's probably other people that have been touched by this. I'm imagining out of the 30,000 plus subscribers or close to 30. Leave us your comments on it. Help Nate. Let's get some thoughts going and some just good ideas.
Positive vibes.
Positive vibes.
Attitude,
That's what we want. All right, this is the Patriot Hour. I'm Mike.
I'm Scott.
Dustin. We'll see you guys back here on the next update video real soon. Thanks for joining in. We'll see you soon.
God bless.
Godspeed, and have a great afternoon.